connect. Oh, there we go. It went crazy. There we go. It's too cold. It's just warming up. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I've got some lovely content I want to share with you today, but I would love for us first to just go through a little bit of a quick check-in. So just to introduce those, I think everyone knows me a little bit. So this is me. Hi, I'm Julie. If you are listening to the recording and you don't know who I am, I've spent my, most of my career in the corporate space in marketing and strategy kind of roles. But in the last 5 years, I decided to do my own thing, and I've been running programs for productivity as a productivity ninja with a company here in Australia. And I've just recently, about 18 months ago, created my own program, the Ocean Flow program, which is around helping you to set your vision, set your goals, and then show you how to go after them with productive flow. So yeah, that's my kind of passion. I love helping particularly women in business, which most of you guys are, or you have been in business. So yeah, really encouraging you to really find ways to get things done with ease and grace rather than the push and shove that we sometimes find we tend to go through. So today I want to take you through a little bit of mermaid self-care. All of the ocean analogies are because, if you don't know already, I am a mad keen underwater photographer and scuba diver. So yes, lots of analogies from the ocean, and I'll explain those if they pop up as we go. But I also wanted to mention today this amazing book I just finished reading called Wintering. And I'll just go through some sort of key insights that came to me, which I think are really relevant for some of the people joining today. Now, I can see someone's just joined by phone. I don't know who that is, but if you can say hi. I'm not sure.
Hi, it's Jo Coleman.
Hi, Jo. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you.
That's good. We've just started, so you haven't missed anything yet, but I am recording the session, so if you need to go back and review anything, everyone can do that. Awesome. So we're going to go through some mermaid self-care. I'll go through quickly on wintering, and then I wanted to get into some sticky goals and explain to you what they are and how to set them. This is the perfect time. I'm not sure if you're aware, but today is about 9:30 tonight is full moon. And full moon coming into this energy phase is a really great time for releasing stuff, letting go of stuff that just doesn't serve us anymore, but also, as my meditation teacher told me this morning, letting go, but also getting into action. So I wanted to give you some tools around the sticky goals to think about if you're in this position where you've kind of reviewed and reflected a little bit in the last little while, or you're trying to figure out where to from here, the sticky goals might help you to move forward a little bit. But first, we're going to do our mermaid self-care. So welcome, how are you? Please feel free, if you can do this in the chat box, you're quite welcome to do it there, or you can do this on a piece of paper. So if you have paper in front of you, that's a great way to do this too. I'm going to just take you through a couple of little self-care kind of check-ins, just to see where you're at. So this one is our just little where am I audit. And I would love for you to score yourself 1 out of 10 on each of these attributes. So feel free, if you want to share your scores, you can pop them in the chat box, or we can unmute ourselves and we can just talk about where we're at once we've gone through them. So 1 to 10, however, 0 to 10, 1 to 10, whatever that works like for you. And just rating yourself right now, how you are on stress. How stressed are you? So I would be giving high score if you're really stressed, low score if not so stressed. How are you on procrastination? Are you procrastinating a lot at the moment? Chris, not procrastinating. That's awesome. Cool. Very low. Oh no, that was the other way around, was it, Chris?
That was just slow on the
stress, but
self-care.
procrastinating. Okay,
well,
awesome.
Less stress than it used to be. It used to be 12.
Yes. Okay, that's a really good improvement. Awesome. And how are you doing on overwhelm? Are you feeling overwhelmed at the moment? So Chris, a 2 on overwhelm, Carrie a 5. Okay, a bit in the middle of the road. And are you stuck in busyness? Just doing the busy things, but not really feeling that you're making much progress? Six. Okay, and then these ones are a bit more of a sort of the other direction on the scale, but you can still score them up to 10. So I have good focus. How are you feeling your focus is at the moment? 4 for Carrie. Chris, 6. Okay. And how much time are you spending on your goals? Do you have time on your goals each week or each day? How's that feeling? 6. And 6 for Carrie too. Awesome. That's good. Fabulous. I get stuff done. How are we feeling on that one? 6 for Chris, 6 for Carrie. No, 4 for Carrie. Okay, awesome. And the last one, I celebrate my wins and successes. 7 for Chris. Fabulous. That's good to hear, Chris. Very important to celebrate successes. And Carrie, a little bit lower on a 4. Okay, so maybe some room to improve there. It's really important to celebrate our successes. That helps our brain to get engaged and make sure we're moving forward positively and staying on track. Would anybody else, would Roseanne or Joe like to share where you're at with those scores? You don't have to.
This
Joe?
is Joe. Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
I scored reasonably well on stress. A 5 to procrastinate, which was actually about joining the session. This morning, I kind of tossed around whether I was up to it or not. I am overwhelmed. I'm on a 9 there. On busyness and goals and focus, I'm at 1s and 3s. And celebrating wins. So I have to give myself a 5 because when I get one, I do. I'm just stuck at the moment.
Fabulous. Yeah, but stuck. Yeah, that's a really good word, isn't it? And there are lots of us around. I was expecting Annalise to join us today, and I'm going to check in with Annalise afterwards. Annalise is going through a very big cancer journey at the moment. She joined us last month and the month before. Chris, you might remember Annalise. And she celebrates every little milestone. She's really good at celebrating, you know, the end of another round of chemo or the end of another treatment. And just figuring out how to put one foot in front of the other, take one more step. Sometimes it can feel really hard. So hopefully from today, we might find some ways through that. I'm hoping that that will help you a little bit, getting unstuck, because we all do get stuck. And for complete transparency, I wanted to share with you, last month, I had a shocker of a month. So you might remember, Chris, last month I had my Instagram, my business Instagram account stolen. And the people that hacked it and stole it were trying to blackmail me into helping them steal others' accounts. They wanted to charge me $1,000 to get it back. And it was interesting because it was not necessarily the biggest thing in the world, but it was a significant thing that just tipped me over the edge a little bit. So last month I was not doing so well. Here are my scores from last month and where I'm at now. So last month I was really stressed, and I feel much better this month. I'm starting to feel a little better. I did actually relaunch an Instagram. I managed to get Instagram to work for me. So I've now got a new Instagram page, which feels like such an achievement. So that was a big one to actually celebrate. My procrastination level has gone down, and I also am feeling much less overwhelmed. I was in extreme overwhelm last month, and even doing these monthly check-ins was feeling a little bit like, can I even do this? It was just feeling that very stuck feel as well. Stuck in busyness. I wasn't really stuck in busyness, which is it's a low score, which is good, but I wasn't feeling like I was actually moving forward very much at all. So you can see we all get to these places. My focus can be good sometimes, not so good other times. I'm finding that I've been in a little bit of I'm going to tell you about wintering in a minute. I've been wintering for the last few weeks, which has actually been an important thing for me to do. Have I spent time on my goals? Yes, I have. And I'm constantly improving on that. That's something that I'm really passionate about. Hence why we want to talk sticky goals today. I get stuff done. I do get stuff done. I'm feeling like I'm moving forward again from last month when I wasn't. And I've started celebrating my successes again. So you can see that this is a really useful little thing to just check in with yourself every now and again. Now, Roseanne, we didn't give you a chance. Did you want to check in with yours as well?
Yeah, sorry if my screen keeps flipping around. I'm walking around.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was interested that my stress and overwhelm was is really kind of improved for me. But I noticed that I'm stuck in this busyness and procrastinating and yeah, not focusing and yeah. So basically, yeah, stress and overwhelm have come down, interestingly, but the other behaviour, which kind of, I mean, has almost become a habit.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, absolutely. And we can become habitually into these rituals or routines of doing the same kind of habits that are not particularly productive. So you've come to the right place. We can talk about that. It's a great way to focus in on your goals and start to figure out how do we just move that one step forward to overcome some of the procrastination stuff. I will share, if you haven't downloaded the ebook yet, Roseanne, that's got some tips in there around beating procrastination. And that's a really good one to get. Things like eating frogfish, eating the ugly things at first and getting those done at the start of the day can really help. Frogfish, by the way, some of them are ugly, some of them are really cute. So yes, it's a little bit of an analogy.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Awesome. Well, I'm going to just get into some more of the content that I wanted to share with you today because 45 minutes goes very quickly. I wanted to just remind you of the ocean flow process, this 8-step process that helps us in a circle. It's a cycle. It keeps going around this path. And where I found myself at in the last few weeks when I've been wintering is actually back in this first phase, this pausing and listening phase. The idea of taking stock, of sitting and thinking about where am I right now? And in this phase, it's really important to practice things like our flow productivity fundamentals and our mermaid self-care. Really, that's very much, if I run my 8-week program, I start here. This is the place we can start when we really want to review where we're at. And it fits beautifully with wintering. I think I'm going to add the word wintering in there because this is a phase that we all need to go into, particularly when we've had some really big life events, when we've had things that have disrailed us or taken us off track. This idea of just pausing and listening and looking at the lessons that we've learned can really help us to start moving forward again. The rest of the process, which I'm not going to go into in lots of detail today because I really want to focus on this kind of reflective phase today, is moving into the dreaming and the goal setting phases, which goes through 2, 3, and 4. We do lots of vision boarding. We start to work on things like, once we've got our goals really well structured, which I'll come on to a little bit towards the end of the session, is we start to pressure test those goals and look at clarity and commitment, figuring out how do I ensure these are the right goals. And sometimes we might need to tweak them. So when we get into the routines and rituals phase and we're starting to review, reflect, reset, that's 6 and 7, these are when we have our tools in place to help us stay on track. Things like the weekly review, things like the daily flow boot up, those processes which really help us to just measure every day. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? Am I moving forward? And then, of course, step 8 is always about that celebrate and making sure that we have gratitude and staying on course. So we're going to focus in on mainly the pause and listen, but I'll give you a few other tools and techniques today that can help us move forward. So a little bit more self-care first. This photo always makes me giggle. This is Rufus interrupting my self-care, as he usually does, because he wants to go to the beach. But it's a really important step for us, thinking about our self-care. So I'm going to do just 2 more little quick check-ins for you, just so you can see what's working, what's not for you. So again, a score out of 10. Just jot it down or pop it in the chat box, whatever suits you best. I'm going to go through a few ones. So sleep. How is your sleep at the moment? Sleeping well, not sleeping well, terrible insomnia, and the whole range in between. Have you had time to rest recently? Okay, we've got some good scores coming in the boxes there from Chris and Carrie. How about water? Are we hydrating? I haven't been getting my water therapy. Getting in the water for me is my therapy, and it hasn't been happening lately because of the terrible conditions. How about your diet, your food? Nourishing food? Not such good food? How's that rating for you? How about exercise? And what about nurturing yourself? Are you doing things to nurture yourself? Whatever that means to you. Okay, Carrie and Chris got some good scores here, ladies. That's really good. How about fun? Are you making time for fun? Good scores again. That's really good to see, Chris. That's up, way up from last time, I think. Yeah. And the last one, are we making time for connection? Whatever that is for you. Okay. Wonderful scores there. Very, very good. Lots of self-care happening. Like to see that. How about for Roseanne and Joe? Joe, did you want to go first? You're unmuted.
Okay, so I'm doing well on sleep. In terms of rest, it's too much because I've got a medical condition ongoing. So for me, it's far too much rest.
Okay.
I look after my water, and I carry a water bottle around the house all day long and empty it and refill it. Diet's been a bit on the floppy side because a little bit of like self-gratification, thinking like, oh, I'm going through this, so don't I deserve a little bit of chocolate or something, which is very unlike me. Exercise, I'm getting maybe 500 metres of walking every second day, which is again not like me. I'm a regular morning walker. Nurturing, I think I'm being nurtured by those around me, by my husband and my daughter and my granddaughters, just keeping in touch and caring for me. They're grown-up girls, 22, 20 and 19, and that's been lovely. And the fun for me has been when I've had opportunities to be with other people. I guess that's about connection too. It's been quite rare because I'm also self kind of safe, being very safe with COVID and wearing masks and having people do rat tests and etc. But the connection has been mostly with the family and very close friends. And whenever they're in our house, any of those people, there's a lot of fun going on. So I have had a very serious, big fat dose of fun lately.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, and with a health condition, when we're going through these periods of being unwell, it's really hard to keep all of this stuff in balance. So it's really good to just raise your awareness to this. Keep checking in on these things. What's working well, what's not. For me, the big one, I know when I'm stressed, when I've got big stuff going on, my sleep goes straight out the window, and that affects everything else. So if you're getting good sleep, Joe, that's a great start. And then the next thing, what's the next thing I want to tackle? How am I going to start kind of rebalancing some of this? It's good to think about. Awesome. Roseanne, how about you? How did you score?
It's definitely changing. I mean, my sleep is actually not too bad at the moment. I'm sort of chronically a poor sleeper, but it isn't too bad at the moment. So that and time to rest has been, they were quite good. My food, you notice I skipped water there altogether. Yeah, and my hydration's a bit poor at the moment. My food, I'm on a sort of a real, I've been on a massive sort of health kick and elimination for the last 6 weeks. So I would put my food up about 9 to 9.5. But yeah, the two things that really sort of stood out to me were my water and fun. Yeah, I realized I'm not having any fun. And that was quite surprising.
Yeah. As you know, when we're in business, when we're busy, when we're working full time, when we're not working full time, we have to still look at all of these elements, consider what is out of balance, because all of these things nurture us. They really keep us on track with our productivity. They keep us moving forward with our goals. And when we have some of that stuff out of balance, life just becomes a little less enjoyable. So really encourage you, Roseanne, to think about that. How could you schedule some fun this week? How could you make sure that you pick that one up?
It's just, yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's sort of become so much of a habit that, yeah, it was more, I knew my water intake was bad, but I didn't know my fun intake was really bad, so.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, fun intake. Yes.
Yeah, it's a little confronting. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Awesome. Well done. We'll keep checking in with that and making sure we schedule. This is something that I see constantly when people are focusing on getting stuff done and being busy. And as women, we really do this. We're juggling lots of priorities, looking after everybody else often, that, some of these things go out of balance. And then we find everyone has to look after us. Yeah. So yeah. Now Chris is saying, my tea mug says, a day without laughter is a day wasted. Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely, Chris. Yeah, absolutely. Really important. Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm going to get moving now so we can get into some more content, because I really wanted to share with you the concept of wintering and how this connects with all of this stuff with self-care. I learned some really big lessons reading this little book. So the book is by Catherine May. If you can get hold of a copy, it's worth a read. I did find it quite confronting, to be honest. She's an English lady like me. I was English originally. I've been here a lot longer now than I lived in England for. But it's a really interesting read. So I wanted to share some sort of key insights with you on this. I have always thought of myself as not particularly enjoying winter, that I like to be at the beach every day. So in winter, it's cold, it's harder to get to the beach, it's harder to get in the water. I didn't think of myself as a winter person. I've also, throughout my life, always considered myself a very positive person. I like to be very upbeat and always thinking the positive, which comes from, I know this is going a bit deep in the therapy side of things, but my mum always used to call me a Wednesday's child when I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do. I don't know if you know the little rhyme. There's a little rhyme that says Monday's child is full of grace, Tuesday's child is fair of face. I think that's right. Wednesday's child is full of woe, Thursday's child has far to go, and it goes on. So I would always be the child that was full of woe if I didn't do what I was asked to do. So it really inspired me as I grew to, I bucked the system a lot, I was a bit stubborn, but it really got me to be a very positive person. So throughout all of my I guess trials and tribulations you might have, we all have during life, things like I had cancer twice, I've had a marriage breakdown, a range of different things. I've always tried to just push through it. And what I found really interesting about this book is that it actually talks about the need to winter, to go back inside. It's a metaphor. Going into winter is a metaphor for giving ourselves time to just take some time out. So I just pulled together a few key insights that I wanted to share from the book, because I think I've learned quite a bit about myself, and I've also learned quite a bit about how to winter successfully. A friend had mentioned this book to me last year. She actually said that she was wintering, and I had expected it to be a little bit of a how-to guide, how to winter well, and get into the arts and crafts and all that kind of stuff. And to some degree, it's a little bit like that. But it really is this metaphor, this idea of a metaphor for how we respond to the challenges, to the sad points, to the crises in our lives. And I found this really confronting on a number of levels. There were lots of similarities I saw in her story. She went through a period of big ill health, and she had to stop working. It was a really tough time for her. After she'd done lots of things, like her husband had been taken critically ill, nursed him through getting better, and all of these other big challenges that had happened. And then she kind of crashed and burned. And I realized that it was really important for me to grasp this concept. And as she describes it, I'm going to read you a couple of quotes in a minute from the book. Wintering can be this period of rest and reflection and recuperation for when spring returns. And it is a metaphor. It's this idea of a slowing down, a pause, maybe grieving the past, maybe grieving the things that are no longer we're able to do, or things that have changed, and letting go. And this was a really, I say, very confronting for me. I just found this, for me, my two grown-up kids have just moved out. They've just, in the last sort of 18 months during COVID, actually 2 years during COVID, my kids moved out. They're grown up. They've moved on. My son's had a baby now. We have little Will, who's 6 months old, which is a delight. But I'd never recognised and actually sat with the idea that my kids have flown the nest. I have a new partner, so I'm not completely alone, but he's off working most of the time. So there's a real change in the dynamic of my life and a change in where I am. So it was a really great opportunity. And this has probably been going on for me for about the last 4 weeks. I've actually embraced wintering. Sometimes our bodies tell us we need to winter. This is a really important one, because when I was sick with my cancer both times, I didn't probably take enough time out for self-care, for those rituals and cocooning, the things that my body needed at that time. So it's been a really interesting period again for me to think about, how am I really nurturing my body? Right now, I've got really sore hips. For the last little while, my hips have been really tight and sore. I think it's part of my going into menopause quite suddenly when I had my second cancer. But this is my body saying to me, there's something going on here. Yeah. Are you going to take some time out and rest? Pushing myself to walk every day at the beach, pushing myself to get the dog out, to do things, to work in the yard, to do all of these things. What about just resting? What about just having some time to cocoon and say, do those things that make me feel good? I love this part of the book. She talks about the fact that wisdom comes from wintering. Mm-hmm. And again, it fits so strongly for me with this idea of when we sit and pause and listen and we reflect on where we're at, we kind of can take stock and get ready for the next phase. So even though we may not be quite ready to launch into spring yet, it's an opportunity for us to create some wisdom around what we've learned. And I really love this. There's some wonderful quotes in the book. I'm just going to pause before I give you my last couple of reflections. But she talks about wintering as perhaps we should draw on the rituals of Samhain. Samhain is a Celtic winter period which runs from, it goes around Halloween. So it's that period of going into winter. Light bonfires, placate old gods, and do our best to divine the future. Somewhere, somehow, we'll be shown the way to the next world. I thought it was a really nice idea about sitting and reflecting. And the other thing that I know I found really difficult is I don't like the shorter days. I like it when it's sunny and there's light in the house. I've actually started lighting candles every day, even when it's sunny. I've got candles in the house to bring a little bit of light in during those shorter days. And she talks about this idea of a metronome. So more than any other season, winter requires a kind of metronome that ticks away its darkest beats, giving us a melody to follow into spring. Paying attention, feeling its beat, noticing moments of transition, taking time to think about what we want from the next phase of the year. I thought that was a really nice kind of poignant, just that taking stock and using winter, the days of winter are not just about these hunkering down short days where we just feel, it's cold and it's horrible. We all mentioned this morning how cold it was. But the idea of saying, okay, that's okay, this is winter. Tick, 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 the rhythm of life, just moving through, I thought was really lovely. And I realised a big one for me was I've never let myself winter before, to be fully present, to rest, and to purely focus on my self-care. I talk about self-care all the time. I teach it, I'm telling you guys you've got to do self-care. But have I really focused in on that for myself? Not so much. And the last one was I discovered that I actually quite like wintering. And I think next winter, I am going to physically spend some time taking some time out to rest. But it's a really important one for me, this idea of it's not a bad thing to grieve, to let go of those things that have moved on or the things that have changed in our lives. It's not a bad thing. It's actually important that we gain wisdom from that we reflect on it, and we find a way through to the next part of our lives. I hope that's helpful. I'm going to read you just a few more quotes from the book, which I thought were particularly interesting. When everything is broken, everything is up for grabs. That for me was really like, wow. When everything is broken, everything is up for grabs. When it feels like our world is in pieces, things can change. Yeah, often we just sit with that and go, everything's terrible. I've got to try and recreate what I had. But we can move into something different. And I know for Chris, this would be really poignant for you, the idea of moving. You've changed your life significantly to move away from Sydney to create this whole new life. So yeah, it's a really important one to think about. This was an interesting one too, was this lady, Catherine, she really crashed. She had no idea how to get through the days at some points. And she reflects on this. Suddenly she was being invited to look after herself in order to survive. And sometimes survival is all we can do. And we need that. We need that moment to just focus on surviving. And this was a really important one. We changed our focus away from normal life and towards making a new one. She had her son, her small son, I think he was 6. He'd just started school. He was getting bullied really badly. She was struggling. She wasn't working. She was home. And she ended up homeschooling. She took her son out. And the two of them created this new normal, this new way of being. Because things don't go back to the way they were. She also did a lot of exploration. She went to Norway. She went to Tromsø. She went to explore the concept of darkness when it was completely dark, when there's no daylight for months at a time. And she went and saw things like the amazing reindeers and the northern lights. And I thought this was really that kind of stepping into that new awe and wonder of the next experiences. In Tromsø, I learned that extraordinary things flourish in the dark. And it just gave me that sense of hope, that idea that we can move forward with hope, even when it's really dark. Does that resonate for you guys? I'd love to know what you think, if you have any reflections on that.
This is Jo.
Hi, Jo.
Hi. I'm fascinated by very much the various things you've raised that come out of the wintering concept. And I feel like I feel like I'm recalibrating, even just from this discussion, that my period of my life right now, when I'm in this place where I felt stuck, I could just rejig that, recalibrate that, and just give it some very serious wintering. I can just make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, Jo. I found this was, I was searching for this idea of, why am I feeling so bad? Why is this so difficult? And when I found this and gave myself permission to just go, it's okay to have periods like this, just to sit and winter.
Yeah,
I thought that was bloody brilliant.
Yeah. And even though it's not by choice for me, the best way for me to manage this is to make it positive. Just use the time in the most effective way to consider it to be self-nurturing, and, you know. So thank you. I've really enjoyed that concept, and I'll be getting that book straight after this.
Wonderful. Well done. Yes, it is really good. And Chris is saying, get the audio book. Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, great. And I found this was one of the things that she mentions in the book. I've taken lots of notes. I always write lots of notes, and I scribble on my page, and I do drawings and things. But the idea of that, when we find this wisdom about wintering, it's really important. We have a responsibility to pass it on. So if you know anybody else that's struggling, that's going through a period like this, teach them about wintering.
Yep.
And I'd love for you to think about, is now the perfect time for you to practice wintering? It might be. It might not be your phase, but it might be something that you're aware of now for the future. It might help you. Yeah. Fabulous. Okay. Now I'm realizing I've got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly talk about sticky goals. And you might be wondering what sticky goals are. Well, sticky goals are a little bit like this. These are nudibranchs, and they seem to stick everywhere when we're scuba diving. Joe would remember these on my images that I post on Facebook all the time. These nudibranchs, you can actually see they're laying eggs. Those little curly bits up in the plant here, they're actually eggs. They wrap their eggs around all of these little branches, and they're a kind of sea slug. The nudibranch means naked lungs, so they actually have their lungs on the outside, lungs as it were. That's where they absorb their oxygen. And they're the most amazing creatures. They're very sticky, so that's why I use the sticky ones. But I wanted to mention for sticky goals, the reason I created sticky goals was when I was doing my first exploration, I did a mentoring program about 2 years ago where I was exploring my dreams, where I wanted to go, and ocean flow actually came out of this experience. And one of the things that I mentioned when I was dreaming, I was just daydreaming, my amazing life, what it could look like. One day I'm going to own an island. And I was like, whoa, that's a huge dream. I don't know where that one came from, but it's bloody awesome. And wouldn't that be incredible if I could own my own island? And I started to think about how would I set some goals around that? How would I actually make that a reality? And I thought about SMART goals, which in business, you may have seen this in school or in business, that we see this often. People talk about setting SMART goals. And to be honest, SMART goals really left me dry. I'd never really identified with them. They really I struggled to make them kind of happen. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're relevant, and they're time framed. Yeah. For me, it was very, very dry. This idea that, attainable, it was like, well, I would give up at the first drop of a hat there because, is it attainable to own an island? Probably not. It just made me feel like, how do I use something? What tool can I use that helps me to stay on track with these goals? So I created my own. So this is sticky goals. Sticky goals is a little different. Still specific. So I get really detailed and understand what it is I want to deliver. Now, I can send you guys some information about this afterwards if you'd like some templates. I've got some coming up to show you. It's still time framed, but it's not time framed in the context of it's all got to be done in the next 12 months. It could be a longer time frame. It could be a long-term goal. It could be something that's a little bit more fluid. So I guess the time frame is a little bit more thought through. The I is for inspiring. I'm really inspired to do this. It makes me feel amazing when I think about this goal. Absolutely. Can you imagine having your own island? It could just be the most amazing experience. Challenging is the C. Yes, absolutely. It's challenging. Yeah. But it's not just that attainable, I know I can do it. It's that feeling of stepping you onto your toes and going, oh, yeah, that's really cool. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to go after it. Now, kintsugi needs a little bit of explanation. Kintsugi is my interpretation of nourishing. Kintsugi is the Japanese art. I'm just going to quickly flick to my next slide just to show you this. Kintsugi is Japanese art of repair with gold. If anyone's seen this is a little bowl that I bought of kintsugi. And the idea is that kintsugi is a celebration of our uniqueness, of all those flaws and cracks and things that we've gathered along our journey that makes us unique. And there's this wonderful book by Candice Kumai, which is called Kintsugi Wellness, where she talks about the art of nourishing mind, body, and spirit. And for me, this is what Sticky Goals does. It nourishes us. It makes us feel amazing. So I'll just whiz back. I'll just go back. So the kintsugi is about nourishing. Does this goal nourish me? Is it something that's really fulfilling? And the why is for yearning. Am I really, really yearning for this? Is this something that would really change my world significantly? Is something that I feel really passionately about? So that's Sticky Goals in a nutshell. I'm going to show you a couple of templates you can use to start creating some vision of where you want to go. And I think that in the wintering phase, what I've done is sat and reflected on some of my goals and thought about where to from here. It's a perfect time during wintering to start thinking about what would I set in spring, whenever spring might come. metaphor of spring. When is it going to come for me? What would I like to aim for? Now, SMART goals work if you have very simple goals. If you want to use SMART goals, please feel free, but just add an I, just add the inspiring. See if you can make those goals step up just a little bit. But I would love for you to think about, when you're starting to set goals, think about a range of key life areas. And this is why sometimes we miss out on things like fun. Yeah, we might be setting goals around business stuff, around finances, around taking care of the family. We might even set self-care goals. We might even set stuff around, contribution to community. But we need, to set goals around a range of these areas. So fun and adventure, Roseanne, that might be one for you, where you go, I'm actually going to set a goal around fun, to do that every week, every month, whatever it is that you might set up. I know Julie, who couldn't join us today, she's a mad keen bushwalker, and she's actually a therapist, and she does forest therapy, taking people out into nature and doing really great sessions in nature, but she wasn't spending as much time as she loved doing the bushwalking. So she set a goal around it. So yeah, thinking about which areas do I need to set goals in. I can send you, as I mentioned, some templates afterwards if you'd like them. Brainstorm it. Throw it on a page. This is actually some stuff I did for last year, just to show you my 2021 goals. This is just a little bit of an example, just so I could start to flesh out what could I do in each of these areas. So you can just play with that. Just do a mind map if you're into mind mapping, or just write a list. But what could you do? Just daydream with it. Just play. Yeah, love mind maps as well, Roseanne. Yeah, me too. And then have a look at this little grid. This is quite a useful one if you're thinking about which goals should I really focus in on. You don't have to, by the way, choose all of them. That could be completely overwhelming. It might be just some key top 3 might be all you wanted to challenge yourself with. You might just pick 3 areas. But this is an example of what I did for last year. So at the beginning of 2021, and some of these got derailed because of COVID and the second lockdown and all the other stuff. But I really wanted to focus in on intellectual and community. So I was planning to go back and do my master's in marine science. Love and relationship. I'm in a new relationship, so making time for my new partner. My family, with my kids almost adults, at that stage. One of them hadn't moved out at that stage. Making time for them. And also health and well-being. I'm going to focus in the health and well-being one for you, just as an example. A body I love to put sexy underwear in. Now, that was meant to inspire me and motivate me, but I realised some stuff about that when I started to set that goal, that wasn't really about taking care of myself. That could have been, strict dieting, going to the gym 7 times a week and just hammering my body. That wasn't about what my body needed, which was nurturing and care. But it's interesting to reflect on that. And business, I stepped out of a role I was doing in the corporate space part-time whilst I was growing my business. And that was another goal that was really important to me. And you can, just like we did some scores earlier, is just score things like, does this inspire me? Does it challenge me? Is it kintsugi? Am I yearning for this? And you'll start to see interesting things pop out. Might be really inspiring and challenging, but do I feel I have the energy for it? Not sure. Or what things work well for me, what doesn't. Yeah. So have a think about that. You can start to sort of score your goals, and then you can get really specific. So if you wanted to just do one goal and break it apart, this is the idea of the sexy underwear one. And I realized that when I had all my goals there, does it challenge me? Absolutely, it does. This is my most challenging goal because I'm not motivated. I'm not feeling good about this idea of getting really fit again. My fitness really deteriorated after my second journey, and that is something I've really struggled with. Interestingly, I did brainstorm some strategies around what I could do to get this goal going. I could get a fitness coach. I could do regular yoga classes, qigong, tai chi, which I love. Join the gym. I crossed it out and went, yuck, don't want to join the gym. Do you know what I did? I joined the gym. Because I actually found that the yoga classes at the gym were brilliant. And there's a lot of other things that I haven't yet explored. I'm going regularly now to the gym for yoga, but there are other classes. There's Pilates, there's some body balance classes that look really awesome. So I'm going to try some of those out too. So really think about, you might rule stuff out, but then challenge yourself. Why am I ruling that out? Is that really off the table? Or is it that I need to think that through a little differently? So this can really help if you want to flesh out your goals and start to put some milestones, and you might just put one thing in there that you're going to do to move towards this goal. So I'll send you those templates afterwards. You're quite welcome to have a look at those. I would also say trust your gut and intuition in goal setting. I've gone over time. Is anybody needing to rush off? No? Okay. If anyone needs to leave, please feel free, and I will send you the recording. But I've only got probably another 5 minutes, if that's okay. I'll just keep whizzing through this. There was a great article I found about intuitive goal setting. Check in with yourself. Where are you at right now? As we've been doing this morning, this idea of where am I? Pause and listen. Where do I want to be? Define your version of success. So often we get tied up with what we think other people would expect our goals to look like. Please define your version of how that's going to be achieved as well. Avoid that social comparison. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. This is just your thing. No one even needs to know you've set these if you don't want to. You can if you want accountability and you want somebody else to cheer you on, but you don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. Lean into your strengths. This is a big part of what we do in the Ocean Flow program. We do what's called the Clifton Strengths Mapping. Clifton Strengths is a kind of an analysis tool that looks at your personality, your profile, but your strengths. And we focus on strengths rather than weaknesses. You ever been in business where we go, oh, well, I've got these weaknesses, I need to work on those? Clifton Strengths comes from the position of strength. We are innately strong at certain things, certain skills, certain behaviours. And when we harness our strengths, we have a much more powerful way of moving forward with all of the goals that we want to set. Don't bite off more than you can chew. So again, just moderating if your gut and your intuition saying, oh, that one feels really too big, figure out how to just tone that down a little bit just so that it's not too overwhelming. Map it out. So work through the strategies, the ideas, the options, play with this. This is fun too. This should be absolutely fun. Yeah, this is what I love about goal setting. I know I'm a bit passionate about it. I hope you find that it's a little bit more fun once you've got some of these techniques. And then check in again once you've set some of these goals. Again, be intuitive about it. Do these feel right? Literally, do they feel right? Once we know they feel right, then we're going to be more attuned to moving forward with them. Do lead with your lifestyle. So it's really important for us to make sure that this fits. It's not going to be, I'm going to set a goal to work 7 days a week when we don't really want to be working 7 days a week. We want balance. We want time with family and friends. It might be for a short period of time we can ramp up some stuff to get a goal achieved, but there has to be balance here. I'm a really big believer in this. There is no point, hammering ourselves, getting sick, really pushing ourselves to the final straw, and then realizing that we've just let everything else move by the wayside. We really do need to keep some balance as we achieve these goals. Be mindful also of your comfort zones. And what I mean by this is they talk about hedonic adaptation. The idea of if it feels good, we'll keep on doing it. It doesn't stretch us to that next step of getting our goals moving. So think about, good to have some comfort zones sometimes, but I do need to stretch myself so that I can move into that new space. One other little tool I would recommend if you are thinking of setting some goals or you already have some that you're working on is the weekly flow process. This is a little process where we focus in on how the week's been. We do a bit of a weekly review. And for those that know me, I've got my weekly planner. I spend time with my weekly planner, every weekly review, setting up the week ahead and reflecting on the week that's been so that I can see how I'm going. How are my sticky goals going? Am I making progress on those goals? Am I working towards the right things? It also helps us to create some self-awareness around our well-being and our productivity habits. What's flowing, what's not? Yeah, what's working, what's not? So weekly flow process, again, I can send you this. There is a download link there. You can just download this little 5-step process from the website. It's a really great way of just, again, checking in, making sure that you know how to move forward in a way that's easy for you, that's with ease and grace. So try the weekly flow. I would really recommend it. Okay, Phew, I got through all the content. How was it? I would love to know if you have any questions. I'm happy to stay on the line, by the way. If you need to go, though, please feel free. I did just want to mention, obviously, I'm doing lots of other stuff around ocean flow. If anyone's interested in learning more, please reach out and get in touch. We can chat about those at any stage. And happy full moon. It's the perfect time, say, for releasing some and for moving into action around our goals and dreams. So have a wonderful day. If you need to whiz off, please feel free. But I'm here to chat. So yes, any questions or any thoughts I would love you to share. Anyone want to say anything?
It was just lovely, Julie, really inspiring and motivating, and I'm sure it touched everyone in lots of different little ways. It was
Thank
really
you,
good.
Chris. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was, you know, just sort of a reminder of looking at things from a different lens. And I was going to ask you about that book, the Kintsugi wellness one. I was thinking, oh, that sounds like me. So I'll be checking that book out for certain.
It's beautiful. It's Candice Kumai and it's Kintsugi Wellness. It starts with a little bit of her personal journey, and then it goes into some really great Japanese concepts around how she's harnessed kintsugi and all of, I guess, all of the points of her upbringing, where she had, you know, her mum would always say, take care when she left the house. And it's a very Japanese thing about taking care and making sure you're safe on the roads and all of those things, you know, when you're crossing the road as a child. But all of that kind of care and nurturing behaviour that she talks about. And then she's also got a huge section of recipes at the back, which are also really beautiful to look at. So it's a really lovely book.
Excellent.
Yes.
I'll be looking at that. I will get going, but thank you so much. It was great.
You're welcome,
future episode.
No worries at all. Absolutely. We're going to do this monthly. We're going to continue this. So feel free to jump on anytime.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice meeting you ladies as well. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Roseanne or Joe, would you like to share anything? Ask a question?
Joe, I'd just like to say I've so enjoyed this very short period of time looking at these various things, and I'll probably be one of your persons to come back each month.
Beautiful, Joe. You're very welcome. Yeah. We'd love to. And we need to have a coffee too anyway, so catch up soon.
We'll do that soon. I'm off too. Bye for now.
Okay. See you, Joe. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi, Roseanne. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was interesting. I did this with you. I don't know if you remember. It was probably it was months ago, months and months, and it's just so interesting. That whole process of sort of coming back to it, and you know, seeing it through fresh eyes, and that was, yeah, it was really great. So I enjoyed it last time. I enjoyed it more this time.
Awesome, wonderful.
So well,
please feel free to come back. We're doing these every month, so yeah, lovely to check in with you.
Fantastic. I look forward to it. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thanks, Roseanne. Yes, and Chris, we need to catch up too. We need to catch up for a coffee sometime soon.
We do. And I've been thinking about you so much, you know, with all the Instagram drama, and I keep thinking I must ring Julie, and and now that I've done this with you and seen the review of your, you know, your ride since we last got together, I'm thinking you needed that time to just grow from it, come to grips with it and grow from it.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm definitely down. Let's meet up and have a coffee and another chat. That was lovely.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely needed. I think that was kind of the last straw that pushed me into the wintering.
Yes.
And I'm so glad now that I've got the new account set up and it's working. That's been an interesting, do you know what really changed was within the business, I've been doing a lot of one-on-one coaching. And in order to get the new page set up, I had to do Julie Jones coaching. And it was like, that's actually the right name. That's what it should have been.
Yeah,
So it allowed
okay.
me to reset my focus again on where I want the business to go and how I spend time with the people that I love. So yeah, it worked out beautifully. So yeah, it was good.
Wonderful. And you've answered my question. So if I look
good.
you up on Insta,
Yeah.
it's Julie Jones Coaching.
Yes.
All right, I'll do that.
Yes, I'd love you to follow me. Yes, I'm just posting up the
Definitely.
usual kind of little inspirational things and thoughts on
Nice.
stuff and keeping people on track on productivity. So
Beautiful. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, this was lovely, and so lovely to meet the other ladies too. Thanks for
yeah,
that.
we're getting a lovely little community now. With some people coming in some months and not others, but it's great to see you all here. Yes, so the dog's going to.
Oh, I hear that's saying hello to me.
Oh, it's the postman. He always barks at the postman. Yes. Lovely.
All right.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your week. Enjoy full moon tonight. I'm very lucky. I'm going to Vivid tonight with my camera club with a full moon. So that's going to be amazing.
Oh, yes. I look forward to seeing those photos.
Yes, I'll post some on Insta.
All right.
Fabulous. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.